I once had a summer job as a cowboy. I was your typical nerdy teenager. I read science fiction, had average grades, and was really bad at sports. I could ride horses. It was our family sport, so I had that going for me, but it really didn't help me socially. Most of my high school classmates had other more normal pursuits like hockey, soccer, or girls. So in an effort to toughen me up, my parents decided to send me to a ranch up in northern British Columbia. Now the ranch was about 30 miles west of a town called Fort St. John, which itself was 50 miles on the Alaska Highway, so it's way far north. And it's a location you couldn't ask for any better. There was a point on the ranch where if you looked to one side, you would see the Rockies, and then you would look to the other side, and you would just see the horizon fall off into the prairies. It was glorious. The woman who had run the ranch along with her husband had the most brilliant business idea. At that time, there was a lot of oil and gas exploration, and she decided to buy a herd of Scottish Highland ponies to ferry prospectors and geologists around. There was only one problem. Given the choice between ATVs and ponies, the prospectors always picked the ATVs, every time. The days of prospectors on horseback were way long gone. So every summer, Ruth would hire somebody to exercise these forgotten ponies, and that's where I came in. And for someone who got along better with animals than people, as was my case at that time, this was a perfect job. I rode morning, noon, and night. I halter broke a foal. I trained a pony to the point where he could be sold to a beginning rider. I rode a stallion, which is a lot less fun than it sounds. And I exercised the rest of the ponies when I got the chance. Now, one of these ponies was named Clyde. And before I speak about Clyde, let me describe to you what a Scottish Highland pony is. When you think of pony, one thinks of cuteness. Little girls at horse shows and more cuteness. The Scottish Highland pony is not cute. They're big for a pony. In fact, I often wondered if the pony moniker in this case was just a big lie. They're stout, and I mean, think of huge barrels on 4 legs. And they're sturdy. There's nothing cute about them. They're working ponies. They're handsome, and they're whip smart. Now, Clyde was one of those ponies that I had to exercise regularly. Now, apparently, he had a best friend named Bonnie. They were inseparable. And sadly, Bonnie had been sold to another family a while back, and Clyde really let himself go. At least that's what Ruth told me. And I believed her because the evidence was right before me. What had once been a prime exemplar of Scottish Highland pony ideal was now just a fat and lazy animal. So one of my jobs was to ride Clyde every other day just to get him exercise in this valiant attempt to lose some weight. Now, Clyde may have been one of the laziest animals I'd ever met, but he was really smart. He worked at it. He was really sneaky. Now, normally, getting a horse out of a field is nothing. You walk into the field with a halter, and you take him back to the stable. It takes maybe 10-15 minutes tops. Not so with Clyde. He was too smart for that. You could walk up with like a bucket of oats, and he would grab a bite, and then he'd scamper off. Not far, but far enough just to get another bite, right? And he'd work and played you. And he was really, really good at hiding, which is like crazy if you think of like a big, fat, lazy pony. I remember walking into the field and looking for him, and he wasn't there. And all I could think is, well, let's look for a hole in the fence line. And all of a sudden, I saw in a thicket of woods a single tree just like going back and forth. So I walked up, and there was Clyde rubbing his ass on a birch tree, giving me his best, "How the hell did you find me?" look. So one day, we went out for a long ride, the two of us. The way I figured it, if Clyde wouldn't go fast or break a sweat, we would at least go long. And it was the end of a long day that we found ourselves in the middle of this 20-acre field. I'd been daydreaming because I hadn't noticed that the weather had changed. What had started out as like a nice sunny day had turned completely ominous. And all of a sudden I heard like the thunder rumbling and the lightning. And soon enough, there was this storm racing upon us. And we're talking thunder, lightning, everything. And the only two things standing upright in the field is Clyde and me. So it soon became a race between the storm on one hand and whether Clyde could reach the woods at the edge of the field on the other. And let me tell you, from my perspective, the math was all wrong. See, Clyde had like two speeds, slow and slower. I did everything to make Clyde go faster. I kicked, I squeezed, I begged, I cajoled, and the fastest Clyde ever went was this nice, gentle lope. I doubt that even galloping was in his worldview as a horse. All I could remember is, come on, man, have a sense of urgency here. Well, soon the storm was right on us. Clyde was not even breaking a sweat. I can hear the rain, there's thunder, there's wind, there's that ozone smell that you smell just before lightning is about to hit. And we're nearly at the edge of the woods, and the rain is falling, and all of a sudden, all hell breaks loose just as we get into the woods. When we get to our shelter, I dismount and I give Clyde a big pat on the neck. He deserved it after all. He may not have broken a sweat, but at the end of the day, Clyde had taken care of me. He must have gauged in his horse brain the distance properly. And as much of a pain in the ass that Clyde was, I was grateful. He took care of me and he never broke a sweat.